Hello out there, I'm Howlermouse, 47-year collector and reader of comics, 15th year on YouTube. We are here on a rainy Sunday for you people out there in the future, and it's an honest to goodness video. So make sure that you like, hit that, what do they say? What do those kids say? Smash that button. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell because I do live shows, some spontaneously, some through other websites, and some through YouTube Live. So you just never know. I'm a busy guy. I'm a busy guy out here. So I want to make sure that when I have time to do it, I jump in there and I do it. Okay. So in all the years of my collecting and all the years of doing YouTube, man, there have been mistakes. There have been many victories, and there's been many things that I learned the hard way through in this collecting. And these things actually apply. Anytime you're dealing with money, there's lessons to be learned. So not only can your collecting of comics be beneficial in your enjoyment, but you can actually learn some lessons on hopefully on a smaller scale with your budget. But one of the things that really concerns me is as I've gotten older and other YouTube channels and collectors have come up, I'm seeing some very bad advice and some very bad habits, if you will. And I just kind of want to touch on a few that I've seen. And to me, these are sort of like common sense. Now, why can I say this? Experience, okay? Learning the hard way. And I've also gotten advice over the years that I didn't listen to, despite the fact that I would love to listen to the older guys when I was a kid actually talk about like being in the military and their wars and things like that. But sometimes it's sort of like you still have to learn the hard way, right? Like a little kid, don't touch that stove, it's hot. Don't touch that stove, it's hot. I said don't touch it. Kid's crying, he touched the stove. Now how do I know that? I got a scar right here that is so old I don't even remember it from touching a stove. Okay, so yeah, I could say it because I've made the mistakes, right? And like I said, there's some channels out there that just do clickbait stuff, right? They're all about, hey, this is my investment. Investment is going down. These are your key books, and these are things. There's a lot of inflation and misinformation out there. These are the books that the 100 books that I cannot sell. These are the 100 books that nobody really wants. CGC isn't selling. Good God. It's getting overcomplicated, and these are problems that are really just there that are created by the people making the videos and the fraction of actual collectors over the world, that uh, watch YouTube and the online stuff, right? The name of the game is money with a lot of it and stuff, right? So let's talk about what a collector is real quick. Look at this. We have a board. Hopefully we can get it in there, right? And yes, I'll read you through it, right? Isn't that nice? And my handwriting is definitely much better sometimes, but we have things to do, right? So are you a collector? So what makes up a collector? There's many things, right? What are you passionate about? One of the things about being a collector is that it is still you and whatever you're collecting, right? And the fact that we're talking about this is just amazing to me because we got to slow it down. But sometimes it kind of goes with why are you collecting also. You got to be passionate about what you're into. You got to be interested. This is a hobby. This is on the side, right? Um, I don't want to skip ahead too much, but there's pitfalls with all of this and stuff, and I'll go over those also, right? But anyway, what are you passionate about, right? And like I said, one of the first conventions I ever heard about or heard someone talking about wasn't a comic book convention. It was a barbed wire convention. Somebody somewhere was like, there's a lot of different barbed wire out there. Let's have a barbed wire convention. And by gosh, people showed up. So there seems to be a tradition with comic book conventions that I've learned over the years is that it seems like they feel like if you go by the stories, going back to maybe the 60s, actually like maybe 1970 with San Diego, I think, the bigger ones. I love the roots cons, the heroes con. Well, hello, Lester. My cat is about. You'll probably hear him. He's probably going to be destructive here. But anyway, that's what I'm trying to get at. I don't want to get ahead, but what are you passionate about? Because at the end of the day, other people are passionate about it, right? That's what's going to keep you interested. Okay, the other thing is that goal oriented. a habit of a lot of collectors is that you become goal oriented. You are proactive with this stuff, right? You want to complete that run with comics. You want to get those actual key issues, right? You want to go out there and finish that story. You want to get everything that this artist did or this writer did, or you want to get a collection where there's a theme, like this, right? Days of Future Past. This isn't just the two X-Men books that made 141 and 142 that made Days of Future Past. It's 1990. They had 4 annuals that continued the story. Then there were some Excalibur stories, and then there was like a run in Marvel Comics Presents and stuff, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting at. Just another example is that in the 80s, Mike Mignola and John Byrne did a 4-issue miniseries called The World of Krypton. And then anytime they would have anything going on with Krypton, they would have Mike Mignola come back and do that theme. You follow me? So yeah, you're goal oriented, right? And your goals can be several things, right? That's what I'm getting at. But then you have the hunt, right? And this is where I'm starting to see things sort of lacking a little bit. In my area, there is a couple of stores, one in particular, where it has dried up the last couple of years. I had a sixth sense around here where I could go to a thrift shop, a yard sale, or doing something. But there's one store around here where everybody now takes their comic books just to sell, and he gets them and stuff, right? He also uses eBay for pricing, which I might need to. Yeah, I think I got that covered. But anyway, it's the thrill of the hunt. Going out there, getting physical, going through boxes, going out of town, having a little bit of time, finding an antique shop. You just never know what you're going to find, right? It's a great way to go out there and find it. And, it's great when you find that treasure. Now, if you watch this channel, over the years that I have come out of here paying $1 or $2 for a couple books that were worth several $100s and stuff like that. That's the goal, guys. Save your money and go on there, and I'll be touching on that a lot. That's one of the biggest things I'm seeing people really messing up on. And then you got to be knowledgeable, right? When you go out on the hunt, and you're starting to see these all tie together if I'm doing this well, right? But number 3 is we go. Number 3 is the hunt. 4, knowledgeable, know the history and the actual value of the books you're going out there. There's a lot of misinformation being put out there, right? And all I can say is that you've got to be careful. You've got to actually read the books, maybe get a price guide, go to actual price guides on a few things. Be very wary of things that people can edit that aren't run by people who actually run a website, such as like Wikipedia, CLZ app, and a few things. Be very careful. And get old magazines. Get old things like Comic Scene, Amazing Heroes, and stuff like that, and play around with them. Old Wizards. I can't believe I'm saying old. But Wizard Magazine has price guides in the back that even though the prices are out of date, but what never changes is what a key book is, what a first appearance is, what an actual origin is, so you're not being swayed, grift, or being told that comics, certain comics are rare. You got to be, you can't go in. There are people who will want to take money out of your hand, and my advice is to always be ready to walk away. You know what I mean? But you got to be knowledgeable about what you're looking at, right? You got to know the comics, all right? The other thing is pride. There's a sense of pride. Now, that is one of the 7 deadly sins if you read these morality tales and everything. And but pride, we're not talking about an unhealthy pride. We're talking about you're glad of what you've accumulated. You see what I'm saying? A couple of these tie together here, right? You kind of want to show off and talk about what you've read with like-minded people who are also in the hobby, and show what you have. Not only can they appreciate your collection, but you can appreciate theirs. Variety. To me, variety in a collection is one of the best things. Variety in era, variety in genre, things like that. And then storage. Number 6 is storage. These are showing up, right? There is a certain amount of effort put into these that you do need to take care of what you have. Over the years and things like that, kids would roll up these comic books, put them in their back pocket. Believe it or not, I'm going to tell you, with a lot of the stuff coming out now, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I have comics here that I have upgraded, and I try to make sure I have them in boxes. Here's the Stepdad's original book, one of the first comics I remember reading, along with an upgrade that I bought over the years. And then coverless copies that I've kept, and did several upgrades and stuff, right? So yeah, there's a thing where not only do you take pride in it, but you need to store it. And that's a big one that I'm seeing, and I want to touch on CGC and things a whole lot. I see a lot of people having their comic book room, which is fine, but you got to keep it's paper. No matter at the end of the day, I don't care what kind of quality they tell you the paper is, the pound pressing of the paper, anything like that. You have to be careful. And one of the things I'm seeing is people are hanging up their comic books in their CGC cases. First of all, you spent a bunch of money to get that thing graded and encapsulated, and now you're hanging it up and you're letting it be exposed to UV light. You're letting it be exposed to moisture. You don't. I'm not talking about going out and you know I don't know, paying some engineer to come in and make you an environmentally controlled room, but you do have to use common sense. Pack your boxes tight. Change your bags out. If you want to do Mylar and stuff. But yeah, there's some search in there. And then you have to do your research. Now, the research can cover a whole lot, and research does not feel like work if you are passionate about this. When you are doing your research with these things, we're talking about you kind of read your comic books, okay? You actually know the characters. This whole war online that I find laughable right now is bring back the Snyderverse. They want the Man of Steel to come back. They want currently James Gunn. His Superman is doing well. You know what I mean? And people are still like screaming and yelling. And people are coming on there and they're making comments where you can tell they have never watched the movie and they're trying to tell people, they're trying to sabotage the movie online. Okay. If you do your own research, you're not going to fall for that kind of stuff, right? Especially in comics. One of the and I'm talking about, the research is just seriously read your comics. You'll find reference material like who's who in the DC universe, official handbooks, again, trades, just reading the books, that kind of thing, listening to people, talking to people. But just to be, there's a lot of misinformation out there because people want clout or they don't know what the hell they're doing or they're trying to act like they are. They're trying to grift you. And you're going to find out that a lot of books that they say are rare are not rare. You can go to eBay on any book that people are claiming is rare and it's there. A book is usually rare. There's exceptions. And the first exception on my mind is when there's been a horrible printing issue and they recall the book and they're destroyed. Those are rare. That's an example of rare. Or books that have just low print runs like Teenage Mutant Turtles #1 to begin with. People will tell you that a book is rare when it's not. You know what I mean? I still cannot believe that Spawn #1, uh, X-Men #1, Spider-Man #1, all from the 90s. You know, if you get what I'm saying, X-Force #1, Superman #75, which is the death of Superman. Those are going up in value, and those all sold over 1 million copies. That's not rare, you know. So yeah, and then we have a sense of accomplishment, right? And that is a plus and a negative, right? You do not want this stuff to you don't want to sit here and get your sense of accomplishment just from your hobby. You need other areas of your life that you're accomplishing things also as you get older, but there's a sense of accomplishment where you get that Holy Grail book. For me, it was a Johnny Quest Gold Key book from 1964 because it was the only one. And I actually got it for $27. It's worth several $100s even in it. Um, if I go back up here to the Thrill of the Hunt, if you know that Archie book, they just did a facsimile edition is in it. I can't remember if it's Betty or Veronica. I could probably reach over and get it, but it's an infamous book because of the double entendre cover where he's taking Betty out of the water at the beach, and there's three guys sitting there in the water with stars going. You know, they just got beat up. They have black eyes and stars going up there, and she goes, "Gee, Archie, was it hard to get me out of the water?" He goes, "No, I had to beat off three other guys." You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to get. They're getting books like that are infamous or catch your eye or have double entendre covers or just that book you remember as a kid that you had. There's a sense of accomplishment. Now let's get into the bad habits, and there's a lot of bad habits that I solely blame on YouTube. I really hope that I haven't. I've tried to be careful on this stuff over the years. I've always told people if you want to sample something, I recommend get it in a dollar box, sample it first, and all that stuff. But the first thing is that hoarding. You can become a hoarder with this stuff, right? You just all of a sudden get captured and go down the well. Uh, of just having to have it all. It's one thing to complete your runs, but it's another thing when you go out of the way and you forget moderation. You forget how much space you have. You get this unhealthy emotional attachment to some of these books because you're like, the movies and the TV shows might make it worth money. Or I remember when I sold that book and now it's worth money and I traded it for a freaking Archie comic. My biggest thing is back in 2010 or 11, I was going through and I was being rushed. I'd been there for a while and I had people that needed to go. And I accidentally passed up the first appearance of Harley Quinn. And I realized it when I was about 17 miles down the road and the store had closed. So things like that end up getting in your head. The other thing here is inflated prices. And that is solely because of online CGC, eBay prices. There is an online. It blows my mind. Now, it's. I feel like I'm throwing the last bucket of water on a fire because I cannot. I'm really tired of saying this and having to run across this, right? But people are using apps that include eBay in their pricing. What something is selling, those are inflated prices. Using eBay, 9 times out of 10, inflated prices. They never ever. If I go to eBay, they will try to use the highest price they can find, maybe the highest price of something that actually sold if you're lucky. But if I get on there, I can find 10 auctions where it's $2.99, $1.99, but they want to go with the $50 one, right? It never works in your favor. It's also not the right price. It's not what it is actually worth. Comicbookrealm.com is an free online price guide that's out there. And they use little green arrows beside the price of a book to show you that the price is going up and it is going down. So there are alternatives, and people are going for this because too many people are making money. And there are YouTube channels that are making money also. They are sort of, they know people are watching their videos. And then once they watch their videos, we caught people over the years, over the 15 years, and people are putting them on eBay after saying that they're a hot book. And then we got not everything is a key, okay? And that's a big deal. That's a big deal, right? Um, a key is a first appearance, cameo, first edition, death of a character, origin, things like that. There are things that are in moderation of keys. And now we're getting into stupid stuff where they're saying that a vial in one issue of Wolverine that has an unknown substances in it was actually the first appearance of X-23. Stupid stuff like that. Keep your head on this stuff. Do not fall for FOMO, fear of missing out, for you people in the future, in case that's not a cool term anymore. And things like that. You got to use your head. Not everything is a key. Don't let people make you think it's a key. Swamp Thing number 25, guys, is not the first appearance of John Constantine. Okay, that was a little joke amongst the artists to stick in Sting. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. These things have taken on mythological proportions. You know. And then we have CGC. I've spoke about CGC. I personally think CGC is a con. Okay, I really do. You spend a lot of money to get a lot of clout, and you're not reading the book. Most people aren't. There's always exceptions to everything I'm saying, right? But a lot of people enjoy CGC, right? If you like CGC, keep doing it. It's your money. You're an adult. It's your books. But your comic book is still rotting inside of that. I have 3 here. Probably. Wait a minute. Let me look here. I think they're right behind me. Yeah. My gosh. That was not scripted, folks. All right. So look at this. Okay. A 9.6 from years ago, right? I won that from the Great Legend. All right. I think I found these at a flea market. And guess what? They're not worth shit. Okay. All right. These are, what are they? 9.8s. Yeah, both are 9.8s. But due to the wrong label, they're not worth anything. Maybe $10 the last time I looked and checked, right? But they're still writing in there. Those were graded probably 20 years ago. and they've had big scandals about people getting things graded, taking the label, opening the book, sending the book back in, replacing the book. There's just too much. I've told people before, and I've actually had people to sort of. I've been on actual shows where I said they are too wide open for fraud. So yeah, you take your chances with it. And to me, it's high dollar, it's high dollar trading cards. Okay, that's what you're doing. All you see is the cover, and it says what it is. As somebody who has trading cards, I have a closet up here with a bunch of movie cards and comic book cards and things like that. Going back for, as a kid, I did Superman, Christopher Reeve Superman and Kiss cards and wacky packs and stuff. In the 80s, I was right there with some movie cards and like everybody else, garbage pail kids and stuff, right? So just be careful with it. That's what I'm trying to get at, right? It's not the end all be all. And when you display your CGC books, you're still exposing them to the elements in the UV light. I don't care what they say about the plastic on it and stuff. It's still plastic. I'm pretty sure I've seen YouTube videos where people have opened their CGC books to see what the book is doing inside. And then you have identity, right? This is the one where I'm going to be very, very careful because we live in a world where everybody is a human being. And sometimes we need to remember that some people are doing the best they can every day, right? But sometimes I've seen people do this. I've had a moment or two, especially back in the 90s, where this became about everything. I got a little obsessive about doing some of this stuff, right? I also spent a little bit of time in the 90s for about 6 months where I was all about trying to get keys and keeping up with value and stuff, and I was miserable. Like, it was just miserable, right? So through your collecting, you're going to go through stages, of weird shit stuff, you know what I'm saying? But your sense of identity and stuff, do not let comics be your end all everything, okay? You can love comics, you can wear your t-shirts and stuff like that, but make sure you're doing other things. Make sure you are going out and being around people. Make sure you are getting out of the house and going for a walk. If it was not raining right now, I would be out on my kayak. You know what I'm saying? And and make sure you freaking bathe. I don't care how harsh that sounds, right? I'm doing you a favor if you're watching this and you're like, what? What? You know what I mean? And if you think I'm talking directly to you, it's time to get out of the house a little bit, right? This stuff is fantastic. But I will never forget two moments in my life. Okay? Well, three moments. Let's put in three, right? The first moment is when I realized as a kid I was talking comic books and I realized not everybody taught comic books. It didn't hurt my feelings, but I just sort of felt bad for them like they were missing out. And then it happened in my junior year, in my senior year, almost a year apart and during the summer, okay, in high school. Um, but I had a girlfriend, each different girl each year. We were at my house. They were hanging out in my room, and I would go take a shower, and it happened twice. I would come out, they were gone. My closet door was open, and they saw my comic books. The stigma of comic books was so bad. That's what I'm trying to get at. That you got to realize, keep reality up. Comic books, movies, Big Bang Theory, DCU, everything. You think this stuff is mainstream. They call it geek chic. Anything they're going to call geek chic is not going to last, guys. It already doesn't have the respect. You know what I'm saying? It's just something they think is cool now, right? And then not reading your books. That's another bad habit, right? And I'm talking about enjoyment. We talked about research a minute ago and stuff, but enjoy your books, or why else are you doing this? You're just throwing away money. The name of the game overall with this stuff is to get it cheap. You know what I mean? Get it cheap, get it discounted. Save your money for those Grail books and the things you know you're going to have to pay for. But why do you want it? I still have, like I said, still have these books, this Iron Man annual that I got an upgrade. I still read this from the enjoyment. It's not a nostalgic thing. Steve Gerber wrote one weird story here that just captured my mind. I went ahead and I finally finished this epic collection of the X-Men from 1982 to 83, where I had gaps in what I read, and I ran from the X-Men. When they were popular, I was so cantankerous that it wasn't until about 85 with Art Adams and the Guardian Wars that I backed up. One of my first comics I read from the Stepdad's collection was X-Men #3 with the first appearance of the Blob, I think, right? And so I'd read some X-Men, but, I read this and now I realize it's not that big a deal. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm really surprised that this book was selling 20 more copies versus almost everything per issue that DC was putting out at the time, right? I get it. I get it. I get being a fan of those characters and getting into it. But that era, wow, you can actually, after Byrne left, you can kind of tell. To read it, and that's hindsight. That's the enjoyment of it. Now I know and everything like that, right? So yeah, that's it. There's what is a collector. There is some bad habits, and read your comics. Enjoy. Be careful. If you know some other bad habits, or if you know something else that shows you're a collector, put them in the comments. If you made it this far, all right, make sure you're subscribed, like the video, share it. Let everybody know we're out here. Let's get some collectors back out here. Okay. Later, guys. Be excellent to each other.